When I go on these photo trips, my primary objective is really photography, and so video really comes secondary. And that's why I'm really starting here at Death Valley on day 2, because there was a day 1, but I really didn't record any video. And so I'll tell you kind of what happened there. I woke up in Zion. It was about 14 degrees, so nice and warm. And this is the day that I was gonna drive over here to Death Valley. And I got a pretty early start, maybe around 6 o'clock in the morning, started driving over here. And it was somewhat around noonish by the time I got over here to Death Valley. And by then there were some clouds in the sky, and these are really good looking clouds. And I knew that the area that I wanted to shoot could be very good for having clouds like that. So I got camp set up, and then as fast as I could, got all my gear together, and then headed straight out into the dune field. And I came here to the northern edge of the dunes, and this is a really cool dune ridge where I had scattered out last year and knew that if there was a good sunset, I'd get some wonderful side light. So throughout the afternoon, the clouds really built in, and after a while it just kind of became overcast. And there was some interesting cloud texture, but it really wasn't really looking good. But I did see that there was a break really low in the clouds, like really low, right on the horizon. And I knew that the sun would probably poke through there at the very end as it's setting. And sure enough it did, but it really wasn't a very powerful light. And I had my camera ready, but I didn't take any photos. But here I have my camera set up. The exposure is probably gonna be a little bright here, but I'll swing around. You can see the camera back behind me there. Well, it might be a little blurry, but so I left the camera out overnight and then hiked in here this morning. And I did take a photo earlier today, just as the sun was kind of starting to come up, but it wasn't really it wasn't very interesting light, but maybe it'll be kind of a soft kind of, I don't know, we'll see how Velvia renders the light. But I did take one exposure, so at least I'm feeling pretty good about that. I'm gonna leave my camera in place all afternoon and try for another sunset shot. But meanwhile, I am going to scout around today and see if I can find some other interesting compositions, because it's great having clouds here, but also it'd be nice to have good light and clouds. Otherwise it just kind of looks overcast. But this is what photography is all about. It's about getting out there. It's about you know, scouring an area, looking for interesting scenes. And sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, but you know, it's obviously very enjoyable, because otherwise I wouldn't be putting myself through this kind of torture. So let's hope for some happy scouting today. Well, I spent the morning scouting the dunes and trying to see if I can find some interesting compositions. I think I found really one in particular, but I also happened to walk all over it. It's one of those things where you're walking along and say, yeah, it doesn't look too great, and you turn around and look behind you and see you just walked over a pretty cool looking scene. But I figure I'm gonna be here at least a few days, so maybe in those few days there's gonna be time for the wind to kind of erase my footprints, so I'm hoping for that. But it is midday now, and I am back at my campsite. I loaded some film, I had some lunch, and pretty soon I'm gonna head back to the dune field again and see if I can find, well, I know where my camera is. I shouldn't say I see if I can find my camera, because I can almost see it from here. Actually, I can't see it from here, it's a little dot. This video is going downhill really fast. Anyways, I'm gonna head over there and see what happens. The sky is very cloudy right now. It's really high clouds, kind of a hazy-ish kind of thing going on. And I have a feeling that might just snuff out the sunset, but if we get some really cool light, I want to be there, I want to be set up, and I want to be able to take the shot if it happens. I've been on top of this sand dune for a few hours now, and just kind of watching as the clouds are really building in and getting much thicker. So I don't think there's going to be any interesting light for sunset, but you never know. I don't really have anything else to do, so I'll hang out here and watch the clouds go by and watch the sun get lower in the sky. And I suppose there's a chance that the light could, or the sun could poke out from underneath the clouds and kind of light everything up like it did a little bit yesterday, but I don't know, the clouds are different today. They're a lot thicker and kind of filling the entire sky, so there's not really any gaps there. But feeling I'm going to leave my camera in position again overnight and then head back tomorrow and see if the conditions are any different. It's a composition I really like, so I would like to be able to shoot this photo. And I also changed the composition a little bit from this morning, where I shifted the position of the camera a little bit so it's going to have a little more diagonal emphasis of the foreground leading line. But you know, it's all part of the experience of hanging out here and waiting for something to happen. And there's a lot of times when nothing happens, but it also makes the times when the light really is truly magical. It makes those moments a lot more special. So I still have probably about 3 hours until sunset, and as I glanced over my shoulder there, I could barely even see the sun through the clouds, so everything is getting a lot thicker. But we'll see what happens. Well, the clouds are continuing to build in. It's about an hour until sunset, and I don't really think there's going to be interesting light this evening. I think the clouds span from horizon to horizon, and I don't think the light's going to be able to get underneath it, but I'm still sitting here waiting. And I was just thinking about something. This is something that I don't know if other photographers have as well, but the fact that there probably won't be any interesting light this evening, I'm totally okay with. And it sounds weird because this is my second day here now, sitting on top of the same dune, waiting for light to happen, yet for some reason, I'm totally okay with the fact that it's not happening. And it's kind of weird because, you know, when the light does happen, sure, that will be great and I can meet my objective and take the photo, but it also means I have to work. And sometimes it is a little stressful trying to come up with the exact exposure and make sure everything's all set properly. And the fact that if the light doesn't happen, it means, I don't know, it's kind of like, you know, back when I go to school, all of a sudden there's a half day of school. You go for half the day and then, oh, I'm free, I don't have to do anything. So it's almost as though when I hike back to the car this evening, if there's no light to be had, there'll be a sense of relief. And I don't know that's necessarily a good thing as a photographer, but maybe it's just kind of a human nature thing. So we'll see what happens, but I'm guessing it's just gonna be overcast and it'll just kind of fade to night.